Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Make sure you smash that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And today we have these new reports that are coming out that are essentially destroying Andrew Cuomo's career, and potentially he could be out of his governorship very, very soon, whether it's in the 2022 midterms through a primary or essentially by the end of the year. And I'm going to be talking about this, but first I do have to tell you guys about my friends over at Noble Gold. Now you know, inflation is killing your retirement dead. The real rate of inflation, well, it just won't let you keep up or make a profit. So you're going to need a different approach. And that approach should be precious metals, not Robinhood or stocks that can crash and leave you losing money. An IRA or 401k with Noble Gold is the answer. And this month, Noble Gold is gifting a genuine, rare, Carson City minted Morgan silver dollar with every qualifying IRA or 401k. Find out more at www.noblegoldinvestments.com. Again, that is www.noblegoldinvestments.com. So we talk about the honeymoon approval ratings for governors during COVID, usually when your state is in a crisis and you have the media giving abundant positive press for the governor. Their approval polls are going to skyrocket, even if a significant portion of the state's population opposes them. That's typically what happens. Whitmer's approval rating in Michigan was over 60% for a while at the height of the virus, although over time that declined into the low 50s. And we are seeing a similar thing across the country. And we sit here and look explicitly at Andrew Cuomo. His approval rating was 63% in January. It's really the power of the media. I have no idea how this guy's approval rating was as high as it was, especially due to the nursing home scandal that everybody was talking about on the right. Nobody on the left, nobody in the mainstream media really wanted to cover it at length. And now, because it's such a scandal that even his own party in New York is calling him out on it, his approval rating has dipped significantly. Now, before this all happened, his approval rating dipped from 63% all the way back down to 57%. So that is a big dip. And keep in mind, he was not that popular at the end of 2019. He was only at 47%. And this is before the scandals that have related to the nursing homes. This is before the scandals now of sexual harassment, that he was sexually harassing women. And there are pictures and there are memes about it as well circulating on social media. And this is going to drag down his approval rating probably below 50, maybe even down to around 40%. And in a potential midterm year with lower turnout potentially, you talk about the potential to actually have a red wave year election. It is possible that Cuomo could end up losing in terms of his primary. Now, the general election, this guy could literally be a demon. He could be Satan himself and still have a fairly good chance at beating a generic Republican in New York State. Although if they run the right candidate, it is possible that Cuomo is going to struggle a little bit to get reelected. Now, this is something that's important to keep in mind. You can look at this and you could talk about the fact that the media has specifically been shielding this because they know it's damning, and Andrew Cuomo is one of their golden boys, and this is exactly what they do. You look at the fact that Ron DeSantis, if you want to talk about a virus response, was not necessarily as bad as New York. New York per 100,000 people has a lot more deaths, although keep in mind New York City is more densely populated, although a much higher percentage of Florida's population is elderly, which means that they are more vulnerable to the virus, vulnerable to dying. Again, I said that the average age of COVID deaths in this country is 82. Florida has a lot of boomers. It's got a lot of people that are even older than boomers that are living in Florida. So Florida, you could say, arguably should be doing worse than New York given the average age, the average population. But Florida is still doing better, even though you consider the fact that Florida's been pretty much open this entire time. Now, I will say this, obviously population density matters, but when you adjust for all factors, the states are relatively doing about the same, you could say. However, since Florida's been open much of the time and the states are still doing roughly about the same when adjusting for all other factors, I would say that Ron DeSantis has done an impeccable job surrounding the coronavirus epidemic in terms of allowing his state not to be a prison, allowing people to resume their normal lives. And when you adjust for all other factors, the death rate's essentially the same. The case rate's essentially similar. So obviously, I think DeSantis should be getting the awards here. DeSantis should be getting the awards, not Cuomo, but that's not how it works. I'm not going to sit here and do the routine about how Democrats are hypocrites, because I think we know that already. And now their own party decided to get a backbone and is calling out Cuomo for it. And as a result, he may be at risk. 6 New York Democratic lawmakers call for the impeachment of Governor Andrew Cuomo, talking about the sexual harassment scandal, talking a little bit about here what he did surrounding the nursing home scandal. And this is going to hurt him. And not a lot of people are talking about it, but more people are starting to realize this, and his approval rating is going to drop. And yes, it is coming from the far left side of his party. This is not some, moderate Democrats that are breaking from Cuomo. This is not the establishment. These are mainly far left Democrats who essentially want to lower his approval rating to the point where they can primary him, and it may work. That is, if he is in office at the end of the year. Because if you want to look at this and predict it, only 53% believe Andrew Cuomo is going to be the governor of New York at the end of the year. And even though it's up 6 cents from this morning, keep in mind that from yesterday, it is down significantly. It went down from the 25th of February to 72%. Now it is down all the way from 57. Now it's down to 53. So could he be the governor at the end of the year? Possibly. But he may be forced into a primary where it's going to be a little tough for him to win. And guess who may get redistricted out of her district that could run in that primary against Andrew Cuomo? You guessed it. None other than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Yes, AOC herself could very well run in that primary against Cuomo. In early February, she was getting 25% of the vote. However, if she plays her cards right, if she gets her vote out in New York City, that could change. Maybe that 68-32 can go down to 60-40, can go down to 55-45. She'll probably get a lot of donations from conservatives that just want her to be the nominee because she could lose. And AOC is crazy enough to the point where she would be at risk of losing to a Republican. This is really how we could get a Republican governor of New York. Now, you're probably not going to get a great conservative. You'll probably have to settle for somebody who is at least as moderate, you could say, as Chris Sununu. However, in the state of New York, that would be a miracle to happen in terms of modern political standards. Keep in mind, AOC is only up 8 points over Elise Stefanik, and 8% are undecided in this poll. And Zogby is not the best. They've had a history of actually overestimating Democrats. Not a lot of people have taken them seriously ever since they said Kerry was going to win in a landslide in 2004 that never exactly happened. But I will say this, if you put AOC up against somebody probably less high profile than Elise Stefanik, you look at the potential candidates, George Pataki would easily beat AOC. In fact, George Pataki could arguably beat Cuomo if Cuomo is the nominee, and you could potentially see a Republican governor in the state. Pataki was formerly the governor of New York. He would be a very high-profile representative. You also have Lee Zeldin and Tom Reed. They could easily go up against AOC, and these people would do extremely well in the suburbs of New York, make no mistake. And you could look at the state of New York right here on the New York Times election map, and what exactly do you see? You see a lot of these blue counties. These would easily flip red if AOC was the Democrat nominee in 2022. A lot of the red counties would get even redder. You look at places like Syracuse, the margins of Biden's victory in a lot of these places would dip, especially with Democrat turnout dropping off. And then when you look at New York City, you could easily see Staten Island go red by a 65-35 margin. And Republicans probably could arguably make gains in places like Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Bronx, if that was to happen. And obviously large Jewish populations probably not going to come out big for AOC, given the fact that she is a staunch opponent of the state of Israel. Obviously, if it's like Lee Zeldin, he would win Suffolk County by a decent margin. He would also win Nassau County by a decent margin. And that could put the state in play. It really could. It's possible. It's not impossible in a year that could easily be a red wave year. AOC is not very popular and Cuomo is not very popular. So if those are the two candidates and you have all these scandals, it is possible you could see a red New York. I don't think it's likely. I don't think it's likely to happen, but is it possible? It's very possible. Similar thing with California in a recall election. That's a little bit of a different story, but it is possible that Kevin Faulconer could be the governor of California within the next year or two. It's just the way it works. So off-year elections are very strange. We'll see exactly what happens. I don't think that they would try to recall Andrew Cuomo, if he doesn't resign, I think he may just step down. I don't think he'd want to risk AOC being the Democrat nominee, but if he thinks that he's going to win the primary easily and he loses an upset to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, then yeah, it is very possible you could see a Republican governor in New York at the end of 2022. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media, including AltTech. The links are in the description below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.